Welcome back, fight fans. This is the Unprofessional Experts podcast. Thank you for tuning back in with us today. Per usual, it is JMC and Davo. Go ahead, like, follow, subscribe, tell a friend to tell an aunt to tell a grandparent, because if you do not, we might stand on business about it. Check us out on any station, your favorite podcast station. We are available everywhere today. Just search the Unprofessional Experts podcast and get tuned right in.
All right, let's talk about it. Exciting card last night. Whole lot of good fights, good action. Let's start off with our boy Abdullah Mason, man. How we feeling about Abdullah Mason? He's looking good.
Shout out Ohio. You know, some of the most skilled fighters in the history of boxing, all from one location. I do want to shout out McDonald's. Got the iced coffee going this morning. So if any of the McDonald's reps are watching, we need that sponsorship. Shout out iced coffees from McDonald's. Abdullah Mason, he's a dog.
Beast.
He's young. He's talented. He's lightweight. He's tall. He's got reach. Superior boxing ability. Abdullah Mason is the future of the lightweight division in boxing. And I
agree.
I'm not saying that just to be saying it. I'm not riding a wave or jumping on a bandwagon. He's talented. He makes me think of a top-tier talent that's just coming onto the scene, and I think he's going to do a lot of damage to his opponents until he runs into, somebody that's nice, really nice, just as nice as he is, if not even better. But I think Abdullah Mason is top tier. He's a dog. He's elite. He showed it again last night. He's not to be messed with. He doesn't play games. He does his thing in that ring. Really excited for Abdullah Mason. He's the real deal for sure.
He's definitely the real deal. He's legit. He beat the brakes off of Louis LeBron last night, unfortunately for him. But I'm really looking forward to see what he does next. Really looking forward. You know what? You know who I would like to see? I would like to see him fight somebody like another guy that fought last night on that same card, Keyshawn Davis.
Keyshawn, straight out of Norfolk, Virginia. He's nice. He's talented. He talks a lot.
Talks a lot, man. He talks a lot, man. He's talking a lot of shit.
He's of that Shakur camp. He's got the same trainer as the legendary. Yes, I'm saying the legendary Bud Crawford. Got Bo Mack in there as the trainer. Obviously, Bo Mack is an elite coach. He's able to get guys to get in that ring and stand on business. Keyshawn is talented. He's talented, but I like Abdullah Mason.
You like Mason a little bit better?
Just a little bit better. Not to take anything away from Keyshawn. He does back it up when he gets in the ring. It's not a boring fight when he gets in the ring. He talks a lot, but he gets in the ring, and he does execute very well. He just talks a lot. And so it'll be interesting to see what he does once he's matched up with somebody. But Abdullah Mason, maybe a fight or two too early for him, because we don't want to hurt his trajectory, even though I actually think he would beat Keyshawn Davis.
You think he would beat Keyshawn Davis?
I do. I think
Keyshawn was in a little bit tough last night. He came out with the victory, but it was probably a tougher fight than he would have liked last night. But you think if Keyshawn Davis and Abdullah Mason were to scrap, you like Abdullah Mason?
I like the tools that Mason has. It has the reach, and he can box very well. And so I don't see Keyshawn being able to just rough Abdullah Mason up. I would see Mason keeping Keyshawn, because he'll be the shorter guy in that matchup. I think he'll be able to stay on the outside with that jab, that superior boxing ability that he has. Great fight. Good fight.
It'll be a really good fight.
You typically don't see guys that talented at the beginning stages of their career match up like that. Would be a great fight if they did it. Absolutely. But I think Keyshawn is looking for title fights, and I think Abdullah Mason is looking for a big name to submit himself. And so, hey, if they did that matchup, good shit. But I would have Abdullah by decision. But Keyshawn Davis is nice. And we did mention he's got Bud's camp behind him, that Bo Mack training. And so there is something going on there, something elite happening in that camp. So all those guys can do their thing. Shout out Keyshawn Davis, straight out of Virginia. And those guys, they can box. They can fight.
Yeah, Bud's camp is the real deal right now. They're steamrolling people. And so speaking of another guy, a part of Bud's camp, Shakur Stevenson.
Like, my nigga, 4 hours of tweeting about me and Mace is wow. You boring, nigga. You boring. Everybody's seen it. We ain't the only ones who seen it. You boring, nigga. I thought I was rather polite about it. I thought it was cool. Niggas asked Tiafimo, you seen the fight? He said, hell no.
Shakur.
All right, how we feeling about Shakur? Let's talk about it. He had a good scrap last night, came out with the victory. How we feeling about Shakur Stevenson?
Shakur. There was a lot. I had a lot of takeaways from that. And so I'll just go through it all. I'll just break it all down. Starting with, I think Shakur is listening to the noise. It's affecting him. He's too tuned in to the comments on Twitter, the comments in the media, what everybody has to say about his style. We all said it about Floyd, right? He was boring. He used a ring. He wasn't exciting. And I think Shakur is feeding into that and is translating into what he does in the ring. And what I mean by that, his fight, he really wanted to try and get in there and walk his guy down. And he's not a power puncher, right? So he's coming forward with one shot at a time.
Shakur's got some steam behind those punches, though.
I don't think so.
No? So you don't feel like Shakur can crack?
I don't. I never have. He can crack against guys that can't crack back, but he's
what is it? What does that mean? I don't know what that means.
He can crack against a guy who's not on his level, right?
Well, I guess that could be true for everybody. Yeah. But see, the fight against Jamel Herring, when he beat up Jamel Herring, that's what kind of won me over with Shakur Stevenson.
Jamel was somewhat of a senior when they fought, but I'll take that. He was a champ.
The disrespect.
He was a champ. I'll take that. But Shakur, right? So he's listening to the noise. He's like, hey, I'm going to show y'all what I got. This fight is going to be the one that's exciting. I had these injuries going into the last fight. I was so defensive, right? He talks about it in his interviews. This is the fight he was going to up the ante, but he had a guy in front of him that can box and that could box well. And so going into a fight with the mind frame of I'm going to walk you down, I'm going to hurt you, it showed because he came forward throwing one punch at a time. He didn't set up any of those punches. He came forward trying to throw power punches, but he's not a power puncher.
But Shakur, that guy will put anybody to sleep outside the ring. Not inside the ring, because that's like he's the most boring fighter in the history of boxing. And they can say whatever the fuck they want. They can hype him up and all that stuff. But I really feel bad for him because there's no way they could put him on pay-per-view. He can't sell a fight.
And so his guy never got hurt. He never was able to capitalize on trying to move forward and be aggressive. So all night, Shakur is walking him down, essentially chasing him. He didn't cut off the ring effectively. The noise got to him. He's trying to get to his guy, and he's just trying to hurt him. He's just trying to be exciting, and that's not who he is. If he'd have just simply set up his punches off the jab, through combinations, he probably would have knocked the guy out. It probably would have been an exciting ending, but because he's too locked in on the noise, everything that's going on around him, he's like, hey, let me throw some power shots. Let me hurt this guy. Let me be exciting. By the end of the fight, in his hometown, in Jersey, fans are leaving. They're booing. By the end of the fight, ESPN is childish because they're showing fans walking out before the fight even ends. Another thing that I really disliked about that matchup, in the corner, his trainer, right? His trainer is his grandfather, Wally Moses. There were moments in that corner where Shakur is talking more than Wally was. He's literally arguing with his grandfather, his head coach and trainer, about what he needs to do. Wally Moses is telling him, work off the jab, double, triple up the jab. And Shakur is talking. He's running his mouth. He's not listening. And so I think it all makes sense now as into why Shakur's performances aren't what they need to be, because he's not listening in the corner. Shakur is fighting off of God-given talent, but he's not being coachable in these matchups because there are things that your trainer can see on the outside of the ring that you can't see in the ring, and adjustments that need to be made. But if you're in the corner running your mouth and I can't tell you what you need to do, he never did work off the jab. He just kept coming forward, trying to land a power shot, but he's not a power puncher. And so we ended up with another Shakur-like performance. He did land some good punches, yes, but if you're in your hometown and the crowd is literally leaving before the decision gets made, that kind of lets you know, like, it still didn't live up to expectation. We just want more from Shakur Twitterson.
As much as I don't like the Shakur Stevenson slander, I got to agree with you. What do you think is next for Shakur Stevenson? Who do you want to see him fight next?
I don't want to see him fight again.
Come on, man.
I stayed up till after midnight watching this mess. It's he talks. He likes to talk. It's a big talk game for Shakur, right? Once again, God-given talent. Not discrediting what he brings to the ring, what the tools are in his bag, but at this level in your career, you should know how to cut the ring off. At this level in your career, you should know how to put your punches together behind the jab, work up those combinations. He's not a one-punch fighter. He's not Gervonta Davis, right? And so you're talking about who you want to see him fight next. Fight Tank, right? He's been calling out Lomachenko. I think that would be a really intriguing matchup because Lomachenko has essentially every tool in his bag, just a little bit older. And so later on in his career, he's taken a couple of losses, but talk about somebody that's versatile and that can really adapt. Lomachenko is that guy, and he can move. He's got great defense, but I would call that maybe an even fight. But
Lomachenko
and Stevenson, that would be pretty much an even fight. And Shakur definitely can't just come forward with one punch against Lomachenko. He could potentially get outboxed if he used that same game plan. But he was in there with a guy, essentially, high-level hibachi chef. And so, but even still, let me take that back. Guy could box. He could actually box. But we're talking about world-class talent in Shakur Stevenson, right? And so he doesn't do that to Tank, right? He doesn't do that to Lomachenko. William Zepeda, box. He can fight. He throws a lot of punches. He's that same weight class. He wants a title. He also fought, got a dub, stopped this guy just last night. And so put him in there with a guy like Zepeda, throws 100 punches around, and he's got that aggressive Mexican style. He even switches it up and goes to the body. He's not just head hunting with that aggressive Mexican style. And so he's really exciting to watch. So if Shakur were to match up with a guy like him, I think it could really cause him trouble. And he's called out Zepeda before. So I think Zepeda, to answer that question, I would say Zepeda, but I need a head coach and trainer, Wally Moses, to have Shakur put some respect on his name. He's got to shut up and listen in that corner. When you're in that corner, it's not about a debate. We're not going back and forth on what you're doing. Kind of need you to shut up and listen because this is what you need to do to go in there and execute. And so the back and forth banter isn't necessary unless you really feel like there's something you need to say. Other than that, it's time for instruction in that corner. And so Wally Moses needs to demand some respect from his grandson, Shakur Stevenson.
I agree.
I would say Zepeda to answer that question if we see Shakur again anytime soon.
There was a robbery also that happened last night. Of Sharky Foster. What are we thinking about that? What happened? Was somebody get robbed last night, or how you feeling about that?
It was nasty work. That's the that's the best way to explain what those judges did to O'Shaquie, Ice Water, Foster. Man, he's talented. He can box. It looked like easy work for him. It looked like easy money. He never even took it into high gear because he didn't have to. He boxed smoothly, efficiently. He used the ring. Robson Conceição, however you want to pronounce it, whatever. Who cares, right? He couldn't land a shot. He was highly ineffective. He was gasping for air. Tim Bradley said it. He was like, he's starting to fight like a teenage girl. He can't hit anything. And so he was really struggling.
Shout out to Tim Brown.
He was really struggling to land anything effective. And I could see that Oshaki probably could have stepped on the gas, but he just didn't have to. It was easy money. It was light work for Oshaki Foster. And I hate that because a belt was on the line and a belt was lost. And I saw, I don't know, online that 0% of voters had come say side winning that fight. Absolute robbery. And Foster is slick. He's talented. I really like the way that he fights. To win a fight that easily and to have the judge decide, hey, never mind, we don't like what you did. The other guy just came forward throwing and missing. We're going to give him your belt. I hate that for him. Nasty work is the best way to explain that outcome.
Yeah, this is the type of stuff that you just really hate that is a part of the sport of boxing when you see stuff like this. Yeah, speaking of things that we hate about the sport of boxing, Ryan Garcia has been involved in some clownery and buffoonery here recently. How are we feeling about Ryan Garcia? What's going on with this guy?
Deep breath. Where do I start? Man. Ryan Garcia. I hate that. Talking about hate, I hate that. I really hate. So let's take this back, right? He fights Haney. He's overweight. Pop's dirty. A whole lot of back and forth on all of that, right? And I think everybody was surprisingly on his side, even though he popped dirty. It was like, all right, we're not going to hate on him because he really beat up Devin Haney, even though it really was a thing. Like, myself included, I'm like, hey, it is what it is. Haney still got beat up, right? But factoring all of that in with the fact that he goes on a racist rant online, and the thing that really struck a chord with me, he was like, I'm going to summarize it. He was like, let's go dig up George Floyd just so we can kill him again, right? And so we're really talking about, you know, that man has a family. He has a daughter. And we're just unnecessarily bringing up something that affected the entire world, right? Just blatant racism. Blatant racism. That amongst all the other things that he said. Let's just say Ryan Garcia is a celebrity, right? In the world, entertainment world, boxing is entertainment, it's a sport. I don't understand the lack of outrage behind what he said. Not to compare what was said exactly, but the last celebrity that went on a racist rant was Kanye West. And he lost billions. He lost almost everything behind it. Ryan Garcia gets a pat on the back and says, hey, he just needs help. I don't understand why we are dismissing blatant bigotry just by saying a guy needs help.
Well, Ryan was racist against the right people. I'll put it like that, and Kanye wasn't. And we'll just leave it there.
That's a bar. That is a bar. But it just makes me think, like, we can't look up to these athletes, right? These celebrities, because you just never know. You know, you could have been Ryan Garcia's biggest fan, and then to see that, it would have broke you. Like, why does he feel like that about me, about my people, about probably his biggest supporters? I feel like it was mostly black people going for Ryan Garcia, even though he was fighting Devin Haney. And so he's absolutely a clown in my eyes. Shout out to the WBC.
Yeah, shout out to the WBC for what they did for standing up.
They expelled him, and hopefully that lasts for forever. And I believe the other sanctioning bodies should join in, because if they also expel Ryan Garcia, then he doesn't have title shots on the line. He's not in those rankings, so there is no benefit to other guys fighting him. They're not able to move up in rankings off of a Ryan Garcia fight. They're not able to get a title shot from a Ryan Garcia fight. And so it does limit his opportunities, and it just makes him and also other up-and-coming fighters really think about the consequences of, hey, I just can't have an episode and go on a racist rant. It's unacceptable. We're in a time and an age where We just don't have to deal with that anymore. And so while he does need help, it's not an excuse. So go get your help, Ryan Garcia. Get that shit together for sure.
Facts. But we also want to talk about a fight that happened recently: Danny Jacobs versus Shane Mosley Jr. How we feeling about Danny Jacobs, man? With this fight against Shane Mosley Jr., man. How we feeling about this one?
The Miracle Man. Hey, Danny Jacobs was my guy. People forget. He could fight.
No, Danny can fight. Danny can definitely fight.
He matched up very well. I would say even went toe to toe with the likes of Triple G, right? And if you ask me, I feel like he could have got that decision. It was close. He matched up with Canelo. He's fought a lot of big time names, and I hate the way he's going out because
you feel like Danny going outside?
He is. He is now journeyman status. And I hate that for him because he was extremely talented back in his day. And so, no hate or shade to Shane Mosley Jr., but just not on that level of that status that Danny Jacobs once was. And so, the Miracle Man, he had a great story, overcame adversity in his personal life, became champion, really excelled, man. He was one of my favorite fighters at a point in time. You hate to see any guy kind of transition to journeyman status right before your eyes. And so that's what's happening to Danny Jacobs in his career. Man, let's call it, right? He did well. 4th or 5th loss now. You did great, Danny. Man, shout out to you. Kudos.
Oh, you saying call it as in go ahead, call it a career for Danny Jacobs?
Yeah, it's time. Hang the gloves up, big dog. You did your thing. Shout out Danny Jacobs, man. Respect Shane Mosley Jr. Yeah.
What are we looking forward to next for Shane Mosley Jr.?
Keep doing your thing. He also has had a few losses, but you're never done in boxing. Teofimo Lopez just fought a guy, Steve Claggett. He had 7 losses, right? He got a title shot. So it seems like Shane Mosley Jr. is trying to put himself in the mix. Keep going. Keep doing your thing.
All right. And our last topic for today's show, we're going to bring back our guy, the talented, the exciting Shakur Stevenson, who you admire so much. And speaking of Shane Mosley Jr., we're going to flip it, and we're going to talk about Shane Mosley Sr. So if these two were to ever get in the ring together, Shakur Stevenson versus Shane Mosley Sr., what do we think about this fantasy matchup? Who's getting knocked out?
Without question, no debate, no case need to be made. I got Mosley in like 4. No way Shakur can handle Shane Mosley in his prime. He was too strong. He was too quick. He stood on business.
So wait, you give no credit to the boxing ability of Shakur Stevenson, or the fact that he might actually be able to keep Shane Mosley off his ass for 12 rounds.
No, not gonna happen. I got Shane Mosley by stoppage. Ends bad. Wally Moses might throw in the towel.
And we're talking about a lightweight Shane Mosley.
Lightweight Shane Mosley does his thing. Shakira, I've said this recently, can't knock a hat off your head. Shout out to the OG Chambers. Shakira Twittershin. He's talented, man. He's got the tools, but he's fighting off a God-given talent, and he's not receiving instruction. And for me, Gervonta mentioned this in the interview. He was like, Shakur is pulling straight back. He's pulling straight back, right? He's not going offline. He does. He has good defense. He probably has great defense, right?
He does. He has really good defense.
But there are times to where he's just pulling straight back. And so I'm thinking, if I'm matching up with Shakur, I want to really practice and hone in on my overhand rights. And I want to make sure that I'm stepping into it, right? So I want to make sure that I'm stepping into a strong overhand right. And if I catch him going back, I think there's a lot of potential there. Shakur could be open for overhand right, laying up in here somewhere.
Now
think
I
that's a
agree with
good
you.
punch.
If Shane Mosley were to land an overhand right, yeah, he could potentially hurt Shakur Stevenson. But I do think that Shakur has good enough defense and boxing ability and speed to keep Shane Mosley from knocking him out.
So look, Shane Mosley fought Mayweather, right? One of the few times Mayweather got buzzed in his career is when Shane Mosley clocked him, right?
With the overhand right.
So does Shakira Twitterson, does he eat that punch the way Floyd did, or is he up out of here?
But that's why I say I think when they fought, that was a welterweight fight, if I'm not mistaken. But we're talking about a lightweight Shane Mosley. So I don't know. I mean, I think he was still getting guys out of there. He was still, dropping guys. But maybe he doesn't have the same type of power that he had fighting as a welterweight as he did as a lightweight. Shane Mosley, I'm speaking of.
He would easily be the strongest fighter Shakur has ever gotten in a ring with.
Facts.
And it would be obvious. It would be a glaring power difference in that matchup. I just don't see how Shakur doesn't get dog walked.
Who was better defensively?
Oh, Shakur for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
So that's my argument for Shakur Stevenson. I think defensively, all right, he could compete with Shane Mosley. Now, of course, he doesn't have the power, but I think he may even have the speed advantage, maybe, than Shane Mosley Sr. Shakur Stevenson may have the speed advantage as well.
I can't even say that confidently because there's speed and then there's hand speed, right? And Shane got those punches off quick, especially at lightweight. It's a small, young Shane.
And his feet were probably quicker than Shakur Stevenson's feet as well.
And Shakur might even be a little flat-footed now that you mention that, right? Shane Mosley on his toes, throwing bombs, stepping into overhands. That's a long night for Shakur. That's a long night for Shakur.
I'll say, if anything, maybe Shakur Stevenson by maybe some type of split decision or something like that.
Some type of robbery like that they did Foster.
I mean, maybe not a robbery because he would have to lock in and outbox Shane Mosley because he's probably not going to knock him out or anything like that. So I think there's potential. There will be potential there for Shakur Stevenson to outbox Shane Mosley.
I would disagree, but great matchup for sure. You would absolutely see what Shakur is made of because Shane Mosley would bring it out of him. I don't see how Shane doesn't just demolish Shakur. He might end up crying how he did in the Olympics. But shout out to Shakur Stevenson, man. He's talented. The world is waiting on that breakout, that dominant performance. The world is waiting on Shakur to take it into that next gear and put on something really exciting. I think maybe up to Wally Moses, his trainer, his grandfather, to instill something in him that says, we got to bring that dog out of you. And I think once that happens is when Shakur will finally shock the world and be that exciting fighter that we're all waiting for him to become. Shout out Shakur Stevenson. Anticipating what happens with his career next. And when that does get announced, it'll be right here. We'll talk about it. We'll review it, preview it, and we'll talk about the outcome of that next matchup. Make sure you tune in with us. New episodes. We're going to amp it up, man. It's coming right at you. All things boxing. We are the Unprofessional Experts podcast. It is JMC and Davo. Go ahead, like, follow, subscribe, tell a friend, to tell an aunt, to tell a grandparent, to share it with their kids. Because if you do not, we will stand on business about it. Until next time.
Against the odds to be successful because it's not in your favor. The game ain't built for your success. You just gotta be a beast. You gotta be harder. You gotta be stronger. You gotta be meaner. You gotta be hungrier because you're gonna be fighting an uphill battle. It's like escape velocity. To get out of the atmosphere to go into space, you need escape velocity. And if you don't have it, you're not gonna penetrate the atmosphere because it's gravity working against you. It's embrace it as part of the game. That's how it go. You know, that's what it's physics. It ain't personal. It's science. Real. If you a young kid trying to do it, it's gonna run you down. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna beat you up. But life gonna do it to you. Failing gonna do that to you too. That's real though. I think to stay inspired, you just have to make the decision that that's your intention. And I think that's what we see when we see young people do unbelievable things come from Oz. It's unbelievable. They had the raw intention. They had a strong intention and pure. And it drove them there and it took them there and navigated, you know, through all the speed bumps and the potholes and all that.
Stay tuned for brand new episodes coming soon. As always, check us out wherever you get your favorite podcast.